Welcome to BARI Banter, where we talk everything bariatric surgery with the people that know it best, the patients. I'm Shannon, and I'm here with my co-hostess with the mostest,
Lita. So sit back, relax, and remember, sip, sip, sip.
Well, welcome to our maiden voyage, Lita. How are you feeling about our first ever podcast?
Oh yeah, a bit nervous about the whole thing, but I'm sure we'll be alright.
I can't tell. So BARI Banter is pretty much, Lita and I were going to sit down and talk to other people about their experiences in the bariatric community. This first episode, we really just want to sit down and just let you guys know who we are by asking each other questions, having a bit of interaction, and hopefully a little bit of banter. So yeah, Lita, I guess the first thing is, you know, we met, what, 2 years ago? Was it 2.5 years?
2 and a bit years ago, yeah.
2 and a bit years ago, yeah. So we met online and obviously connected pretty hard at the Auswide. If you don't know what Auswide is like a meetup for weight loss patients, whether you're weight loss surgery or weight loss in general. Yeah, was that your first ever?
Yeah, that was my first ever. It was back in August 2018, I think. I was fresh out of surgery. So yeah, that was my first ever, but I've kind of became addicted to meetups since then.
Yeah, definitely. It's been a bit sad this year, actually, with no meetups, because they're all been cancelled due to COVID. And
don't put it out into the air. Hopefully we can have the Queensland
Oh, yeah,
one.
exactly. It's still hanging on by a thread. But yeah, 2.5 years ago. Wow, time flies when you're
Losing weight.
getting harassed. No. But we do actually have prepared ourselves some questions to ask each other, because we thought, you know, we know each other pretty well, so we should just individually write our own questions and kind of target them at each other. Not go too hard. I don't know how hard you've got with your questions, but me personally, I've kind of held back and not gone too. I've kind of dangled the carrot and just let you have a little bit of fun with it.
Should I be worried?
With your look on your face, you already are. So, but yeah, so I guess we can just jump into the questions. We just go, I'll ask you a question, you ask me a question, you know, kind of like pass the parcel.
Sure.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Who goes first? Rock it off?
Rock, scissors, paper. Rock. Yeah, you do it differently. You can just go first. Okay. That was terrible. Great success.
Excellent.
Also, you will see in the background, we've got, obviously if you're listening to the podcast, you won't, but we have got some photos playing through of obviously our before and afters. So if you are watching on some video like YouTube, I'm pretty sure YouTube's the only one we're going to put it on, you will see the photos in the background. If you want to check it out, head on over to YouTube and you can see some photos flicking through and see our awkward faces in action. But yeah,
I'm definitely a lot more awkward than my
I know. Yeah, just have a little bit more red wine. We'll be fine.
Awkward turtle.
Awkward turtle. Alright, well you fire away first with your scissors versus my scissors. You go first.
Alright, well obviously, Shannon, you've had amazing results. You've lost what, like 90 kilos, and you've completely turned your life around. But what's one thing that you wish you had have known before you started this journey? So like if you could go back 2.5 years ago and tell Shannon one bit of advice, what would it be?
That's a hard one. I honestly think it would be like the support through the weight loss community, because I honestly didn't know that this community ran so deep when I first kicked off, you know, with the whole social media side of things, the meetups. I had no idea there was this community full of people that are just out to genuinely help you. That would have taken a large weight off my shoulders, definitely, because I only knew one person before surgery that had weight loss surgery. For me, I'd never heard of it until my GP recommended it. So I think that would be a big thing for me, like to know that and know you're going to have that support moving forward if you want it.
You've obviously had the ups and downs of social media as well, though. Like, would the ups far outweigh the downs? Like, a lot of people have seen you struggle through the social media.
Yeah, totally. No, totally. And there's been patches where I think if you had asked me that question, it would have been a different response. But I think where I am at the moment, and especially because, you know, I've gone through those downs and ups and I've seen the support that's been there for me, I would definitely say it's worthwhile. And definitely I think I'm hoping I've gone through the roughest of the oceans when it comes to the social media world. But I think everyone's kind of got the gist of what I'm about and who I am. And yeah, you know, for me, it's plus. It's definitely sometimes has its downs, but it's like anything. Nothing's smooth sailings all the time, 24/7. So yeah, you ready for mine?
No.
Okay, let's see if I can actually read my own writing. That's always the challenge. I obviously met you very early on in the process. I personally have watched you blossom in the way of self-respect and confidence. Do you feel like this has been a big part of your transformation, or is there something else that stands out to you that has been a bigger part of who you are now?
Wow. Okay. Just hit me with a deep question straight off. Like no easing into it or anything.
No.
Well, I've sort of delved into it a little bit in my socials, but I came from a pretty toxic relationship, I guess you could say, prior to surgery, because I had no self-worth in myself at all. I think a lot of people can relate to it when you say, you know, when you're bigger, you kind of just assume the worst for yourself, I guess, and you don't really deserve anything better than what you have. And it's taken me a long time to realize that no matter shape, size, color, heart, whatever, you deserve the best. And that's one thing that I have struggled to, but I am learning to deal with that at the moment. So yeah, I think me discovering my own worth as a person has probably been the most driving factor, I guess, to continue.
Yeah, totally. I thought the same thing. That's kind of why I asked that question, because for me, watching you transform, I think that's been a big part, that I've just watched you kind of go from strength to strength in that kind of area.
Initially for me, it was just, I want to lose weight. I want to fit into size 12 clothes. I want to do this. I want to do that. But then as I started like developing as a person, I realized that there was so much more to just what you look like and what you can fit into it. It did become a lot more of a, hang on a second, I deserve a lot more than what I'm giving myself credit for. And that's where I've sort of gone with for like the last, I guess, 2 years really, once I dropped that toxic relationship and decided that enough was enough and it was time to put myself first.
So not basing like your self-worth off your appearance, like actually looking deeper and appreciating what else you have to offer.
Yeah, and kind of realizing that I do have more to offer.
Yeah, totally. That's a huge part of it. So that wasn't so bad, was it? Yeah. All right, hit me. What do you got?
Question number 2 for Shannon.
Okay, wow.
I got asked this recently actually the other day, and it took me quite by surprise because it made me stop and think for a minute. But what was your breaking point? At what moment in your life did you stop and really decide to have surgery?
I think it was this, and I think I've talked about this before a fair few times, about just, you know, when you strike out that many times and you just kind of go, what's the point? What's the point? I never had a point. Like, I've had the, you know, the roller coaster experience where you go and you go to get on a ride at, like, I think mine was Dream World, and I went to get on a ride and I was too big for it. And I've had those experiences. But for me, I think it was just having, like, I was just done. Like, I lost 50 kilos like 5 times naturally. And I was just like, why even bother? Like, why even going again? Like, and then sat down with my GP and he mentioned weight loss surgery and I'd never heard of it. And I was kind of like, oh no, I'm not going to go down that avenue, you know, like, and I was one of those people who were like, no, I can do this naturally. I'm not going to take the easy way out.
You've done it naturally, what, 4 times?
Yeah, totally. And for me, it was like, even like when I was laying in the room about to go in to have surgery, I was like, should I have another shot at going naturally? And I was like, no, Shannon, you know how this ends. You know how this ends. So yeah, I think it wasn't so much as a moment as in just completely getting bashed over a certain amount of times, just over and over again, just being like, okay, I just need to finally hit this on the head because, yeah, I can't do this mentally anymore. It was just draining me pretty hard. So, yeah, I'm sure you have had similar experiences.
And let's just clarify, you weren't physicly bashed, you were emotionally bashing yourself.
No, now I get bashed, you know, Lita, she's like, no, it wasn't any physical bashing. But yeah, no, I think everyone has those turning points. Sometimes it's not as like a big firework moment that goes, okay, here we go. Sometimes it's just a lot of little moments that add up to a big
Mine
moment.
was definitely, I had realised that I wasn't being myself anymore. Like, I was coming up with excuses to not see my friends and not go and do things, like turning down being bridesmaids for people just because I was so essentially ashamed of the person I was becoming. So we all have our reasons,
yeah,
I guess.
That's a completely different, that's a big beast, that, yeah, like the social anxiety side of things, totally. Yeah. That was a big turning point, you know, especially towards the end. So, all right, well, I think I answered that. Okay.
Bear with us, guys. We're still learning.
That's it. This is our first little sit down. Usually we talk like this without talking into a microphone, but you know, we'll see how we go. All right. So question number 2 for Lita for 300 points now. You've clearly transformed a lot physically. Have you noticed that people treat you differently? How do you feel about this?
God, again with the.
Mate, I know you too well.
Yeah,
I know you too well.
I feel like I should have gone deeper with my questions to you.
No, they're deep.
It's really funny because I can say yes and I can say no. So like earlier on in the piece when before COVID hit and everything, we could go out, like me and my girlfriends, we used to go out to clubs or bars and I went to my local pub And the same guys that have been going there for the same amount of years, who have never batted an eyelid at me before, all of a sudden they want to buy me drinks. And psychologically, that was not okay with me, because I'm still the same person I was, 60 kilos ago. But to them, it's very just obviously appearance based, which I thought I would have liked the attention. But it actually, obviously, because I'm dealing with my past, it made me kind of feel a little bit disgusted at the fact that people are so face value. So yes, to an extent, I feel like people do treat me differently now that I have lost the weight. But I've also come to learn that it also comes a lot down to how I think about it myself. Like, I talk about it quite often in my posts that I'm really self-conscious of my legs. Yet a lot of people will say to me that they think my legs are like pins.
Totally.
Whereas when I'm running, I have moments where if I'm wearing little short shorts while I'm running, I'm like, oh my God, people are staring at me because my skin is flapping when I'm running. And I can guarantee they're not looking at me at all.
Yeah.
It's all in my head.
Totally.
So I think I'm dealing with the whole being able to differentiate between people noticing me because of my size and people me thinking people are seeing me in a different light.
Do you feel that's an insecurity thing? That's still a little bit of insecurity?
Look, I think I'm always going to have insecurities.
I think we are.
I think it's just built into us now. It doesn't matter. You could be a size 4 with fake boobs and a butt lift and you'd still find something to be insecure about.
Well, I think it's social standards. You see these catalogue models and stuff like that. I don't think anyone's ever going to be physically perfect, especially when it comes down to physical and stuff like that.
That's it. But, I don't know. Yes and no. I don't think the general public see me any differently or treat me any differently. It's just how it's all in my head. And I say this to people all the time. You've got to try and stop analysing ourselves so much, because a lot of it is in our own heads.
Yeah, it's definitely sometimes easier said than done.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, we see ourselves every day. I have to look at my ugly mug every morning in the mirror, and I'm like, there it is again.
Oh my God, I feel sorry for you.
Get out. All right. Well, it's on to you again.
Oh, okay. We've already gone over this, that we've known each other for just over 2 years. But when we first met, the Shannon that I met, he was quite shy and reserved, and you didn't really have much confidence. You were definitely trying to find yourself, because you'd obviously gone through quite a lot once we'd actually met. I've witnessed you, and a lot of people on social media who have been following you have witnessed you turn into this really confident, self-aware man. You just ooze confidence now.
Stuff it. Yeah.
And we've spoken about what your breaking point was to make you have surgery. But what do you think are 2 of your biggest hurdles that you've had to overcome? So one physically and one emotionally that you've had to overcome since having surgery.
Since having surgery. Oh, yeah. Well, firstly, thank you for the compliment. No.
You'll be able to walk out of the room.
No.
It's going to be so big now.
It's a pretty small doorway. Honestly, it's mentally, I guess, hitting rock bottom. I've talked about this before, and obviously I haven't talked about it on the podcast, but, I went through a separation pretty early on in the process. A week before my surgery, I went through a separation with my partner, at the time my wife of 10 years. And I think hitting that point a week after surgery where I saw no value in my life. I was literally ready to just write it off. I was ready to just be that's it, I'm done, I'm out. I was willing to become a statistic just because I just couldn't see any way out of the jungle. So as much as it's, it's a bad place to be, rock bottom, it was also a good place for me to be because it gave me a fresh start. It gave me kind of a position of power because there was, I couldn't go down. I could only go up. And for me, that was kind of a strong point. So yeah, I think that would have to be one of the defining mental moments of my life, just especially because I started breaking myself down and trying to analyze myself, who I am mentally and where I was, because I realized I was heading down a path that was designed for me, not by me, but from someone else.
It's funny because I think a lot of people will agree as well that it's so hard to picture you at rock bottom because you are such a positive and such an energetic and so full of life that I struggle, and I've known you the best out of everybody. I struggle to picture you being at rock bottom.
Yeah, totally. No, it was like, and I've talked to a few friends about it lately because they've been going through their own little hurdles and rough times. And I said, honestly, just, you need to let it out. Like, I had my moments where I was like sitting in the shower, you know, crying, sobbing, you know, stuff like that. And like, I look back at that now, and it also gives me a good reference point for a bad day now. You know, like, and that's why people go, oh, like, you know, it's not always going to be positive, but I'm like, I use that as a reference point for most days. If I have a bad day, I go, yeah, but, you know, I still mentally feel a lot better where I am than then. You know what I mean? So having that reference point to kind of relate back to definitely helps. And in the way of physical, I guess it would have to be the car, like getting hit, like, you know, obviously.
Yeah, that's really recent too,
9 weeks ago,
yeah.
Getting hit by a car and having that whole, you know, out on a ride in the morning, and, you know, just going out on the morning ride, and then all of a sudden,
something that you did every single morning.
Every single morning for
like eating
6
breakfast.
months. Yeah, literally. I was on my way home to have breakfast. Like, I didn't get my oats.
You and your bloody oats.
I know. But it was, you know, just something that, it was a big physical, it was more of a just, I guess it kind of falls into mental a little bit too, because it was kind of like, it rattled me. Knowing that, like, you could go out one morning and then it could just all be done. Like, you know, it was very...
everyone will agree that we are so lucky to still have you here. Like,
oh, totally.
I will never forget that phone call.
Yeah.
Like, literally all you said was, it's happened.
Yeah, I know.
And I knew exactly what it meant.
Like, as the doctors and stuff said, not many people can hit a car at 45 k's an hour on a bike and then just walk away, you know, with the hematoma and a few other things going on. But, like, I think the biggest thing for me was losing consciousness. You know, knowing that you hit your head that hard that you were out. There could have been a possibility there was no light coming back on. And obviously taking that setback, because I have very much on this journey kind of focused a lot on my physical health. And then having a setback where they literally like, you can't do anything. You've got to just chill. And I'm like, oh, so I can't even jog? No, you can't even jog. So like having that physical, it definitely made me kind of take a step back and kind of really analyse where I was at.
And I guess you're still dealing with that now because you've recently just got your new bike and you've gone out on it a few times. Like, how are you finding being back on the bike now? Like, is it, you got a bit of PTSD or?
Yeah. I talked about that a little bit over the weekend and stuff like that, because obviously I just got back on the bike and I was very anxious. And even when I got off the bike, it was very much dealing with just the fallout. Because I was emotionally so much on edge that it kind of took a lot of mental energy. So then I was in bed at like 5:30. I was knackered because I was just like, it took a lot just being so anxious, which I haven't had that in a long time. I used to have that a lot with social anxiety and stuff like that, but I haven't had that kind of anxious feeling for a very long time. But yeah, I think those would be, I don't know if that falls physical, but it's mental physical, but I feel like they're two big points for me in this process, especially after surgery.
So being at rock bottom and being hit by a car.
Yeah,
they're two pretty big moments in your life.
You know, what would trump getting hit by a car? A truck?
Yeah.
No thanks. Alright, question number 3 for Lita. So one thing I have to give you massive prompts for is you're the kind of person who will just go, I'm going to give it a try. You're gonna just go out and just try it. If you don't like it, you don't like it. You know, is there anything that you've tried, you've just put yourself out there for, and then you've kind of gone, oh, I really enjoy this? Like, has there been anything like that?
Online dating. No, I'm joking.
I think anyone's had that.
Oh, God.
Everyone's like, oh, I'm going to go on that one.
The one thing that really stands out that I remember I was so adamant about saying no to you, because we've always had this sort of friendship where we'll suggest something to you, be like, oh, hey, do you want to jump out of an airplane? Yeah, sure, let's go do it. Hey, do you want to go and try some weird food with me? Yeah, sure, let's do it. I'll never forget the one time that we went for morning coffee, we were walking along the beach, and we saw these crazy people running. We were like, what are they running from? What are they doing? And we went and checked it out, and it was parkrun. And you you blatantly were just like, let's give it a go. And I straight up said, nah, I don't run. Straight up, I do not run. I complain about running for 100 meters, boot camp warm up. I am not going to try and run 5K. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think that's the one thing that you've had to convince me for the longest to do.
Oh, it didn't take much though. You're not the kind of person, even when you put up a fight, it's like, Alita, let's do this. No, Alita, let's do this.
I think it took you about 3 days to convince me. And it was kind of like okay, I'll do it, but I'm walking the whole way. I'm not going to run. I'm not park running. I'm park walking.
Yeah.
And then I did it. And yeah, I did walk it the first time, and I walked it the couple of times after that. But I love it now. It single-handedly has shaped me into the person that and I think for you too, but it's shaped me into the person that I am today. Like it's given me it gave me a taster of what running was about. And it wasn't all about running. Like it took me a long time to become a runner. And I still struggle with the idea that I'm a runner now. But it was something about a sense of community, the sense of the same people were there every single week. And, you know, it took us a little while to become part of the parkrun family, so to speak.
Yeah.
But then, like, it was just those little things that the people that were faster than me, they learnt their names and I'd run past them because on our local parkrun track, we do a loop. So, like, you run past the same people quite a few times and then, you know, a random person would be like, yeah, go, you're doing better this week. Like, it was just a real sense of community.
And support.
And belonging to something. And also the fact that I was racing myself and I was getting better. It only took a few seconds off each time, but I was getting better.
It was a good guide for like self-improvement, wasn't it? It was very much having that time and trying to beat that time. It was very much like week to week trying to be a better version of yourself.
Because it wasn't, I mean, yes, of course there were certain people that you'd be like, oh, that person, I want to try and beat them today. But it wasn't like a ready, set, go, you're racing, done.
So you weren't tackling people and like, you know, ankle tap and like,
I do now.
You do now?
Yeah.
Like competitive sidekick.
That's why they banned parkrun. Because it got too physical.
Yeah, let's getting too serious about this. Let's just, you know, get rid of parkrun for a little bit because need to just let it cool off a little bit.
No, but I think it was definitely, I'd have to say it was definitely parkrun, which would have been the thing that I was the most reluctant about trying, that has actually just completely changed me as a person.
Yeah, you're definitely someone who openly admits you're not a runner until lately. You've been like...
I still struggle, I'm not a runner.
Yeah, but you've had your moments lately where you've been like, you know, you're enjoying it. Like, you're actually making an effort to get out there and do it, which
I
is
do,
like...
I love it. I just... Oh, well, this is the whole psychological thing again.
Yeah,
like,
totally.
I love it, but we're also our biggest critics. So, like, I have moments where I absolutely love running and I think that I'm a runner, and then you'll get home and you'll be having a bad day and you'll be like, oh no, I don't want to run today because I'm not the fastest, or I don't feel like going that far, or it's just a constant battle. But I am a runner.
Yeah, that's it. We're all runners.
I am a runner.
We're all runners. Yeah, what are we on to? You're 3. You're
4. I'm up to 4.
4. Wow, we're just pumping through
it. I was about to have a sip of red wine, and then you just interrupted me.
No time for wine. Let's go.
So there's no denying that you've had an extremely successful journey. Like, if you're watching on the screen, you've been seeing our before and afters come up across the screen. But, like, obviously we've touched on it already. You've lost 90 kilos. You've become, like, you just beat 1.5 hours for a half marathon. Like, that's insane. So none of us can deny the fact that you've had an incredible journey. But if you had to narrow it down to 3 major factors that has made you so successful in your journey, what do you think they would be?
Like, factors in, like, things that have happened throughout my process to kind of, like, lead me a certain way? Or is it, like, I guess park... we just talked about... I'm not going to dwell into parkrun, but parkrun was definitely a huge thing for me.
This
because
isn't Barry Banter anymore,
no,
it's parkrun.
Parkrun, yeah. No, parkrun, you know, as you just said, and you said it perfectly, so I won't go too far into that, but parkrun for me was a huge turning point where I was like, I discovered that, you know, sense of accomplishment. You know, that the feelings you get from that are very addictive. Like, I'm clearly an adrenaline junkie because it releases the same, you know, the same endorphins as, you know, jumping out of a plane as accomplishing something. And that's clearly been something for me that's been massive. What else has there been? I guess the people I've met has been, you know, one of the big things. Like, you know, you, for example, you go all right. You know, meeting people like you who are, like, willing to, you know, try new things, put yourself out there. You know, even Amy and stuff, you know, who, if you follow my journey or anything, you would have seen Amy and friends like that who are just like, hey, you want to run to Noosa? Sure, let's do it. You know, and if you don't know the Sunshine Coast, it's like, what, 30 Ks to run to Noosa. You know, just
all
having
hilly
friends
as
like
well.
All hilly. Yeah, it was a painful day. We did it. Or even like ride out to Pomona and
so friends who challenge you.
Well, friends that challenge... Yeah, well, you guys do that frequently, but it's also people who, if I have a crazy idea, you know, even like the midnight run. Remember when I did the marathon where I ran 5Ks every hour from midnight, and like team crazy, you know, where I had one person each hour jumping on to do push-ups while I was out running. Like, come on. Like, that's amazing. Like, I love that. Just having people around you that are just willing to not only test themselves, but support you on something crazy as well, just to be amongst it and be part of it.
So 2, you had
third
sense of
one.
accomplishment / park run. The support, you have people who challenge you. Teen crazy. What's number 3?
Number 3 would be like, I made a real conscious decision to just get rid of my ego. Like, because, you know, being male, you know, you have a lot of ego, and I feel like you don't learn a lot of lessons when you have that ego in the way, you know, when you're like, I know better. You know?
Males being egotistical?
Yeah.
Oh, I'd never heard of it.
It's something I've really made an effort to do because I noticed I was really closed-minded to learning because I was determined, like sometimes, especially if it came from a male, you know, you'd almost...
Your way was the right way?
Yeah, and you almost didn't want to be like, I'm letting this person have the power. So as soon as I made that decision, the conscious decision to be like, you know what? You know, I don't know everything, clearly. I got to 175 kilos. I don't know everything there is to know about nutrition and, you know, health. So if I want to learn, I need to just accept that I don't know everything. So, yeah, I guess that would be my 3. What are we on to? You're number 4, 5? 5.
You've got to ask me number 4.
Number 4, okay. Oh.
Oh, God.
Okay.
Should I be worried?
Okay, so you are someone in the past have seen prioritize your own mental health behind someone else's. Firstly, why do you think this is, and also do you feel that is something you are working on or have got a better grasp on? Like, do you feel like you don't prioritize because you are someone who puts other people first, even if it sacrifices a certain part of yourself? Do you feel like this is something you've worked on, or?
I almost feel like it's something that I hide behind as well. Like, I definitely put others before me, and it is something that I am working on, and I've been talking about it a lot lately as well. Like, over the whole COVID lockdown, everything, I have been in a rougher place than normal, I guess you could say, and I've been dealing with, and I've been trying to use this time to address a lot of the mental things, I guess, like not putting myself first and that sort of thing. I have been in a bit of a weird mood of late, which I have been getting myself out of. But I think a coping mechanism of mine is to put other people first, because if I'm working on somebody else, I don't have to work on myself, if that makes sense.
That does make a lot of sense. So, like, you're not focusing so much on your own things that you need to deal with, so you focus on other people's kind of
100%. And we do it,
deflecting.
we say it all the time too. Like, there's been times where we'll use the running company, you know, the Coach Kate that we go to. Like,
Yeah.
we'll do a 10K handicap, and there'll be days where I'll just wake up and I'll be like, I don't feel like running today. I'm not going to do it. And then I eventually convince myself, I'll go, but I'm not going to run 10Ks. I'll just do 5. I'll do what I feel that I want to do at the time. I end up running a 10K PB, and Kate even said that to me. She goes, the days that you don't want to commit to something is the day that you actually smash it.
Is that kind of like you don't, like, you're setting yourself up to fail, so then if you do fail...
I'm not setting myself up to fail, I'm lowering my expectations of myself. So I guess if I don't shoot... What's the saying? You shoot for the stars.
No, you shoot for the moon, even if you miss, you hit the stars.
100%. So I shoot for the stars thinking that, oh, if I make it, that's great. You know what I mean? Like,
so, like, you're kind of
I
like...
undersell myself. So
Okay.
if I'm putting...
But aiming for the stars, you'd be going... You know, you've set it so high that even if you achieve the moon, it's still okay.
But see, I kind of, like, I get value in helping other people achieve their goals.
You really do. Yeah.
So as much as, I guess it takes a lot of pressure off myself as well. So if I'm putting so much of my time and my energy into helping other people, that in itself is helping me achieve as well, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I will give you that. Like, you are someone, like, who will put other people before your own... Like, if you have a goal... Like, how long was it, like, you didn't run your own 5K for how long? Because you were supporting different people in their own 5K?
I still, every Saturday, I still don't really run a 5K at my own pace. But that's because I actually do get joy out of helping other people. But at the end of the day, by me running a 5K that isn't my... Like, I can run my own 5K pace on a Tuesday. It doesn't have to be on a Saturday.
Exactly.
I genuinely want to help these people better themselves, because a lot of the time, they don't believe that they can. It just takes that one... person
to believe in them.
Yeah. But it's almost like I'm at the point now where I've got to find that one person who believes in me.
Yeah.
Because for some reason I don't believe in myself as much as what I should do.
But I think sometimes that person has to be you as well. So I feel like it's something you can't rely on other people. It's great that you do that, because honestly that is one huge thing where you do prioritise other people's goals and achievements beyond your own. Like if it's someone's like, I want to run this, you're like, I'll pace you. You know what I mean? And I think that is a really unique quality that you should be very proud of.
I am proud of it, and you were talking about your sense of accomplishments before and that sort of thing. Like me being able to help somebody else reach their goal is a sense of accomplishment for me, because
Totally.
I've been a helping factor in somebody else achieving that feeling.
The good old empath. Good old empath.
But having said that though, I have also acknowledged the fact that I need to put myself first, and it is something that I have been working towards. And I have been getting a little bit of flack from it, I guess you could say, from certain people, because I have started saying no. No was not in my vocabulary. And now all of a sudden I've started saying, you got angry at me the other day because I said no straight up. You're like, hey, let's do this. And I was like, no.
Yeah, Mum was like, let's go climb a mountain. And I was like, you can have it too. Come on. No, you are.
You've never said no to me before.
Yeah, you definitely, and I think that's something, that comes with, your own self-worth, being able to prioritise your own needs and your own wants beyond other people's.
I know that when I was bigger, I saw my place in the world as pleasing other people. That was, there was the funny person in the group, there was the pretty person in the group. I was a pleaser. I made sure that everybody else was being their best selves. So I would do everything in my power to make them be their best selves. It's definitely a quality that I'm proud of, but it's also, I've got to sometimes put it on the back burner so that I can shine and I can be the best person of myself too. Which I'm getting there.
It's good that you acknowledge it, because it's something you want to work on, but also it's not a bad thing. It's not like a bad thing to be like, I just give too much. You know what I mean?
But at what point do I have to stop giving so much and take something for myself occasionally?
Yeah, totally. No,
that's the line that I'm treading at the moment. I'm trying to give and take, or give and give back to myself.
A bit of equal, put on an equal keel kind of thing. Yeah. Makes a lot of sense.
So if I say no, just let me say no.
So you don't want to cliff dive with me next? Okay, right. All right, what are we on? Question 5. Hit me.
So, Mr. Shannon's story. So what has been your proudest moment so far? So if you could pick one moment in time in the last 2.5 years, what has been your proudest moment?
Come back to running. I feel like my life's all about running, but it was the half marathon at the Sunshine Coast Marathon last year where I crossed the finish line. I had you, I had Mum, I had an ex-wife, my ex-wife's mum. I had all these important people that have been in my life at the finish line.
Not to mention that finisher's shoot.
Oh, mate, and having Amy at the finish line, and I as I say, that's my happy place. We talked about it, I'm a big fan of David Goggins and everything he does, and, we won't delve into that, but, he talks about, your cookie jar and, things, moments in your life that you go back to when you're going through a hard patch. That is my top of my cookie jar. That is, when I'm hitting a patch where I'm like, my leg's burning, I can't push on, I can't do this. That's my happy place. Going down that finisher shoot, having all those important people in my life on that finisher shoot, having Amy there, having the announcer say my name not once, twice, 5 times.
Because there was such a big...
Yeah.
You had a presence there, as in, we were all there and we were all,
yelling.
Banging on those, the signs.
Yeah.
And everybody was, yelling your name. It actually caught the attention of... I think it was Pete... No, is it Pete Murray?
No, it wasn't Pete Murray. He's Iron Man.
It caught the attention of whoever it was that was doing the announcing, and he was kind of like, who's this Shannon person? Why? And he's like, and he made a big deal over it. And you could see your face light up as you were, because that last 500, I did it as well. I only did the 10K, but I shouldn't say I only.
Yeah.
I did the 10K, and I know that I was ready to, it was, my tank was empty. I
wouldn't say mine was tough. That finisher shoot was I think that was, I died after. But that finisher shoot, that adrenaline feeling, there's I could have done that 10 times over.
And I had a similar thing, because you guys had all finished. You were off. When I finished, you were off on the side trying not to pass out, mister. I didn't know that there was somebody there, and I was coming around the corner and I was with Kim and Angie because we were a team together, and they were kind of like, come on, Lita, like, we're like 500 meters out, and I was ready to give up. I was like, I can't physically push my legs any further. And then all of a sudden, there was this one person that was like, I'm so proud of you, Lita, let's do this, let's get you over the finish line. And it almost brought me to tears. I later on figured out that it was actually Krista.
Yeah.
And that was just that for me. I just needed that. So I can completely understand where you're coming from when you say that it's that finisher's shoot and just having people there.
Or the support, like even, the other week when we did the virtual Sunshine Coast Marathon, just having like that little person that just kind of says something. The support's huge. Like, no matter what it is that you're going through in life, like, having that support is so important. And that's, like, I think the big part about social media and stuff like that, and the meetups that we organise and different things like that, having those people you can turn to that can just support you and, like, just not even, like, say something to push you up, but, like, just to be there. It
doesn't need to be a grand gesture. It can be the simplest, as I said, like, the simplest thing. I wasn't expecting Krista, and it took me a week to realise that it was Krista, but just having that stranger there... I'd only met Krista once before. I'd only met her once before, but she was there and she was supporting me. It was just that one...
Yeah, it was the words.
Those three words that just picked you up and just carried you across the finish line.
Totally. No, I totally appreciate that. That's definitely, something that I definitely rely on is the support of others and having those words when you need them. And, words are worth a lot, good or bad. So
you would put Sunshine Coast Marathon last year...
Yeah.
Your first half marathon above this year's accomplishment?
Totally. Yeah, like it was, I didn't even think I could run 20. Like, I'd never ran 21Ks. To do it and then have all those people there at the end, it was very much a iconic moment for me. So, yeah, that would be me. We're on to your question 5, are we? Okay, you've clearly been a massive support for me over this journey. My crazy bestie for Shal. However, is there someone apart from me... is there, you've met along this journey that has taught you something that changed the way you've approached this process?
One person? Jesus, there's been so many people. Like, we were just talking about Krista and how that one sentence carried me over the finish line. Like, but then I've also had like Kim and Angie who've been there from the very beginning.
Is there someone who's like, so you've had a path and then they've kind of come in and... One person and one saying, apart from you, but one person who you brought her up before, Amy. She's not part of the weight loss community. She's a crazy... You guys, the people who follow us on Instagram will be very familiar with Amy, but Amy is a crazy girl who we met at Park Run, and we used to see her almost every morning when we'd go for coffees, like walks and coffees in the mornings, and she'd be running past us and we'd be like, oh my god, how does she just keep on running? Yeah. She's one of those fit girls.
She was one of those fit girls.
Yeah.
And even when she's like, she's having a rest day, her rest day is...
a 5K run.
Yeah. 10K. She does a 10K run or like... Yeah, anyway. She's ridiculous, but there's one... She makes up a lot of sayings for herself because she hits rock bottoms in the middle of her runs, and the one thing that has stuck with me has been her saying relentless forward motion. It's the one thing that any time that I feel like I am going to give up, her little face pops into my head and she just says to me, relentless forward motion.
One foot in front of the other.
One foot in front of the other. It doesn't need to be quick. It doesn't need to be powerful. You just have to keep
in the right
going.
direction. Yeah,
don't go backwards. Don't go sideways. Just keep going. And like, there's been times that we were on rides together, me, you, and Amy, and the hill has been so intense that, like, literally, I was like, just keep moving, otherwise you're going to fall off your bike.
And the hill finishes, doesn't it?
And then the hill finishes, and you feel amazing once you get through that.
Discomfort is temporary.
Yeah. So that's the one thing, I guess, like, there's been so many people along the journey, and, like, obviously Amy has been a massive influencer, I guess you could say, because I aspire to be like her in running. It will take me a long time to
She'd love that. Yeah, she'd love that.
It will take me a long time to catch you and Amy, because you're both relatively similar in times, but it was that one saying that she said to me that literally almost every day I think back to it, like relentless forward motion. And you can apply it to anything in life.
It is. You can relate it to anything. Like, you can be at work and you just keep moving forward.
Yep.
Forward. You know, it's okay to go backwards every now and then, but as long as you keep going forward.
Keep going in the right direction.
I like that. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, this is my last question for you. We've made it this far.
I know.
Yeah, and I haven't sworn yet.
I'm
doing well.
I haven't got a black eye or blood nose yet.
So obviously you had big plans this year, and then the C word has happened.
We won't talk about him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Borders have closed again.
Mm-hmm.
You've just got your new bike, so it was becoming a reality. Borders have closed again. Your big trip's looking like it's going to be postponed. What's next for Shannon?
I'm still not putting it out there. Let's not put that out in the universe. I'm still targeting like it's going to happen.
For those of you who don't know, Shannon was planning on leaving the Sunshine Coast on the 3rd of October.
6th.
6th of October. Gosh,
oh, no.
so wrong.
Jeez.
Got it all wrong. He was planning on leaving here on the 6th of October. He was going to cycle down the east coast, across the bottom of Australia, and up into
this is
Perth,
a social ride.
Across the Nullarbor.
Just diddle-daddling.
You know, just checking in with people, seeing how they're going, riding a casual 6,000 kilometres across Australia.
6,000.
And then to top it all off, when he reached Perth, he was going to compete in
just a half Ironman. Yeah, it's kind of like playing in the sandpit, isn't it?
So half Ironman is, again, for those who don't know, is what, just a 3.9 kilometre swim.
No, that's full. You give me too much credit there.
A 1.9.
1.8.
1.8,
isn't it?
1.8.
Yeah, we don't count
It's a really long swim. It's like almost
really long swim.
It's almost 2Ks in a swim.
Yeah.
It's a 90-kilometre bike ride and then a half marathon at the end. So a 21-kilometre run.
Yeah.
After cycling 6,000 kilometres across
Australia.
So now that that's not going to happen, it might, but there's a chance.
Still hoping.
Mate, we can't even leave the Queensland. We can barely make it to Brisbane.
It's like, what is it, 2 weeks quarantine each? No, it wouldn't be as enjoyable, could not be able to hang out with people, and because that's the main thing about it, was just being able to make my way to cities, encourage people to get out there, be part of it with me, because that's what it's all about. You know, I don't want to just go on my own mission. I want people to join me on it.
Shannon. We'll see you in a couple of
that's
months.
it. Like, I could definitely take a direct route, take 2 weeks each border, but I think it's one of those things, like I said to you the other day, I think I just want to change it for now. I originally wanted to do the full loop. I wanted to do the full loop of Australia. So I feel like maybe working on organising that for maybe when it's a bit cooler. Because obviously I couldn't do the full loop because it was going to be summer doing the top end, which isn't smart.
Which is quite... My mum, randomly, I was talking to my mum yesterday, and because they were meant to be going to the Kimberleys now. And it's currently... we're freezing here in Queensland. Sorry to everybody else who is not in a warm state. But we think we're freezing in Queensland at the moment. In the Kimberleys at the moment, it's 31 degrees with like a 70% humidity.
Oh, delicious.
And we're not even in the warm warm months yet. So I think you dodged a bullet by deciding to not do the full lap.
Yeah, but even I'm disappointed I can't do the across Australia. But saying that, I do have plan D, C, E, B. You know, I've constantly got new plans coming up.
You're always rattling off crazy ideas.
Totally. But I do want to do the full loop. That's definitely going to happen. I'm putting that there. It's going to happen sooner or later.
So we're thinking June next year and
autumn. I think.
Going up first and then around?
Yeah, I don't know. You know, down. It's downhill. No.
That's not how it works.
No. For me, okay, so if that doesn't happen, my next plan is to do a lap of Queensland, which, funny enough, is 5,500 kilometres.
So it's almost the same.
It's 500 metres less.
500 metres less.
No, 500 kilometres. 500 metres. 500 kilometres
Wow,
less.
we really need to look at a map a little bit before you set off.
500 metres. It's
500 metres. You just do a few laps around the street or something to make it up.
So I would love to do a lap around Queensland and make it a Queensland thing. I think that is, if we're not too locked down, that'll be my plan C.
Because the last thing you want though is to be to go from almost city to city and have to spend 2 weeks in quarantine in between different places.
Yeah, I don't want to be disrespectful, especially if we're in quarantine and do the lap. So and my plan D, well, I think that's wrong. F, is just to run around the Sunshine Coast.
Yeah, you said that the other day that you. So you had this crazy idea where you wanted to start at the northernmost point of the Sunshine Coast and run every single street of the Sunshine Coast.
Yeah, that's a fact. I listened to a podcast the other day.
Have you actually thought about that logistically? Because there's a lot of streets. There's a lot of long streets. Like, imagine having to even run around your suburb. Maybe you should tackle the suburb first before you do the whole. Yeah.
No, I think around the Sunshine Coast, because I think it was 500 kilometres to run around the Sunshine Coast. So
500 kilometres to run around the Sunshine Coast?
Yeah, like a full lap around the Sunshine Coast. That's definitely doable. It's doable.
How long do you think it would take you to run 5,000?
6 days? 5,500. 500 kilometres.
Okay, so guys, Shannon is not very good with distances, with geography, so we'll get back to you on this.
Yes, well, it's 500 kilometres.
So not 5,000 kilometres.
Well, Queensland's 5.5 if I had
Sunshine Coast. I was going to say, God, the Sunshine Coast is big compared to Queensland.
So it's 500 kilometres, 6 days. It'd be like a pretty epic thing, but we'll see. Stay tuned. We'll see how it all comes up. But I do have other plans, and there's always plans. Like I love designing things to challenge myself.
And I guess the thing is as well, we've got to do. Queensland doesn't have it bad at the moment, so we've got to do our bit to keep everybody else safe as well.
Flatten the curve. Wasn't that the old thing? Flatten the curve. Yeah. So, I don't want to. I want to enjoy it at the end of the day. So we'll see how it goes. Question 6, Lita. Question 6. My final question for you. Geez, I should have made it more juicy. This journey hasn't been the easiest. I've definitely watched firsthand as if you've gone through a roller coaster of emotions and physical hurdles. Is there anything that stands out to you the most that either changed your course or changed how you felt about the path you were taking?
Oh gosh, you said you should have made it more juicy.
I could have gone deeper. Anything that comes to mind? Any part of this journey that has led you in a certain direction you didn't think you were going to take?
Well, I hate to repeat it, but like running a park run. I guess meeting you as well. Like I met you in a pretty. I needed to meet you when I met you, and I can guarantee that. I guess you and Elle as well.
Yeah, Elle. How has Elle not come up until now?
Yeah.
Elle's been a massive.
Elle has been.
Elle Goodall. Elle's journey to good health. Let's not do all the underscores. Yeah, we need to work on that.
Yeah, Elle, you need to get rid of all the underscores. It's a pain in the back.
Yeah, because it is. It's definitely like you deviate in your journey dependent on the people you meet.
Like, so I met you at a point in my life where you taught me a lot of things that I needed to, and you gave me the strength to get out of a situation that I was in, which I will be forever grateful for. And I guess as well because you were on a very similar path as me. Like we grew with each other, which I think is what I needed. We've always bounced ideas off each other. And then randomly one day we met this chick called Elle who
swam across like a mermaid across the Mooloolaba
She
Beach.
was like a dolphin in Mooloolaba Beach, and we were like, wow.
Where did you swim from? I had just constantly been swimming my whole life.
I just swam into your life. No, and I remember listening to her and her crazy goals and her life, and I was just kind of like, wow. And I don't want to delve into it too much because I'm pretty sure that we're hoping to get Elle.
Oh, totally. Yeah, Elle would be top of the list. Yeah, definitely someone we want to have a chat to more.
So without going into her story too much, we thought she was crazy for the things that she was doing. But all it takes is one crazy person to put a crazy idea into your head, and that idea doesn't seem so crazy anymore. So I guess there's three. Well, actually, there's more than three, but essentially meeting you at the time that I needed to meet you at was a massive point in my life. Meeting Elle and planting the seed of the impossible, I guess you could say.
Breaking down limitations.
Yeah, just, she was...
Yeah, she is. Phenomenal human being. And I think that's exactly it. Like, limitations and limitations.
She kind of defined the fact that, like, anything is possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, she did her first triathlon when she was 8 weeks out from surgery. She was still 150 something kilos, and she still did a triathlon.
Yeah, crazy.
Like, she just broke down what you think is impossible can actually become impossible.
Yeah.
And then from there my whole life just kind of changed. I think I started to challenge myself, and I started going, you know what, if something doesn't make me happy, it's up to me to change that. So like I've changed jobs, I've changed careers, I've moved house, I've become a runner, I've taken up bar. Like I'm constantly pushing my limits, I guess. And yeah, it's just I get that.
Yeah, totally. It is. There's like just new experiences, new paths.
But not being afraid to try new things as well. Like
yeah, but I don't think you've ever been afraid of that. I think it's just being exposed to those new things. Being
having
exposed
somebody
to,
plant those things into my mind.
Or willing to, like, you know, it's like, I want to ride a bull. Do you want to jump on with me? You know, having those people that jump on with you and
I've run away from bulls. Does that count? No, Mum, I didn't do that.
No, you didn't.
Yeah.
No. Well, that's it. That's my last question for you. That is Bari Banter, our first episode. Sorry if we dragged on a little bit. I'm looking at the time over there. I'm like, wow, we really got chatting.
Yeah, well, that's what...
Chatting away.
Banter.
Yeah, it's banter. But yeah, guys, let us know below if you are on YouTube or wherever you are. Give us some feedback. We love a good bit of feedback.
I mean, this is obviously the first time we've ever done this, so we encourage constructive criticism.
Yeah.
We would also really like to know who you would like to hear from.
We would, yeah.
The whole idea of this is that now that you've met Shannon and I, we want to bring in patients. We want to bring in the experts.
We want not even just like the earls. We want people who have gone through it, haven't succeeded, and just, you know, have feedback, because everyone has a lesson to learn.
There's no right or wrong way of doing this journey. So we want to highlight the fact that everybody has their own journey. Even if you've gained weight, even if you've had to have revision surgery, even if you've fallen pregnant, or like just different experiences,
different journeys, different processes. Because as I said before, it's like everyone has a lesson to be taught,
and everyone has a lesson to tell.
Well, teach. It was kind of where I was going.
Yeah, well,
same. You know, potato. Anyway, that is Bari Banter, first episode. Just let us know what you think, guys. Let us know who you think would be good to come on, because we want to put them on this little screen here and have a chat to them, and have
a bit of a banter.
Good old Bari Banter.